Hi, I'm talking to you today from Maine in early January, and guess what? I got a snow day. I was able to stay home. And since I heard you were about to read Cooper and Packrat's mystery of the eagle's nest, it might be fun for me to read chapter 1 to you. Here's a description of the complete story. Trouble's coming to Wilder Family Campground. When Cooper and Packrat find their geocache box full of illegal eagle parts, their lazy summer is over. Someone wants those valuable parts back, and if they don't get the parts back, they'll settle for holding one of the rare Pine Lake eaglets hostage instead. Cooper, Packrat, and Roy must elude two goons, tolerate an annoying teenager, keep tabs on a shady new camper, and stake out the eagle's nest, all without getting grounded. Let's read chapter 1. Eagles mostly eat fish, but will steal both live and dead food from other eagles or birds of prey, such as osprey or heron. There were only 3 ways to get to the floor of the super cool canyon in my family's woods. 1, you could jump the 12 feet down, but you'd probably break your neck. Or 2, you could follow the brook following along the north side and jump down the waterfall into a not-so-deep pool of water. Either way, if you could still walk, then you'd have to go 100 yards downriver before squeezing through a wicked narrow gorge at the back of the canyon. Or 3, you could use the secret entrance. My back against a tree trunk, I carefully leaned out and around to peek back the way I'd come. Darn it! The 2 humongous men who'd been chasing me were now trying to cross the swollen brook. I knew how to pick stepping stones. The higher and drier, the better. But these suit and tie goons, they were obviously not the hiking type. About halfway across, Blue Tie Guy stepped on a dark green rock with his shiny black shoes. Not a good combination. He leaned left and then right and then back to the left before grabbing Red Tie Guy's arm. The 2 of them wiggled on their rocks, swearing like crazy, arms waving so fast I thought they'd take off like a duck who'd just been surprised by a guy in a camouflage suit. Finally, Red Tie Guy shook off Blue Tie Guy. After getting their balance back, they stood perfectly still for a second and looked at each other and laughed. Then whoosh! Their feet slid out from under them. Lying on their backs in the middle of the brook, they swore between groans as they slowly rolled over and tried to stand. It was the break I needed. Creeping along the edge of the canyon, I tried to keep the pine tree between the goons' line of sight and me. I parted 2 blueberry bushes to drop my green plastic geocache box into the hole between them. When it clunked to the rock floor 6 feet below, I winced and peeked back at the goons. They were still arguing. Whew. I put my feet in the hole, gave 3 chickadee calls so my friend Packrat would know I'd made it, and then wiggled my waist through. As I balanced on my elbows, I looked for a foothold with the tip of my left hiking boot. It slipped on the damp dirt. Surprised, I just let go and my bare knee scraped the wall as I dropped the last couple of feet to land in a crouch. The bushes sprang back into place above me, blocking out most of the light. The canyon opened up before me. I was still a good 5 feet up from the floor, and I knew from experience that the only way anyone would find me was if they laid on their stomach above me, slid forward, and hung over the edge. As long as I didn't do something stupid like sneeze, I was pretty safe here. I was breathing hard, blood rushing through my veins. After my mad dash through the woods, my heart was pounding so loud I couldn't think. What the heck would those guys want my geocache box so badly? They'd crashed through the woods just as Packrat and I had reached the coordinates for one of our caches, the one hidden in the old stone wall. Next thing we knew, they'd started swearing and running towards us. When their coats flapped open, I could have sworn I saw a gun in their waistband. Thinking back, I wasn't really sure now. I do remember grabbing the box and running like a deer. Yeah, I knew right away it was a pretty stupid thing to do. It made them keep chasing us. So I held the rectangular box over my head, hoping the goons would follow me, while signaling Packrat to go around the long way in case he had to go for backup. I squatted next to the long, skinny box. It was one of 6, just like it, all hidden in different spots along a trail that my friends and I had made this spring. The trail began and ended at Wilder Family Campground, the campground on Pine Lake that my family owned and where we lived all year long. Each box held a small notebook with a pen to log in the date you'd found the box, and some cheap plastic toy prizes for younger hikers. There were 6 more boxes, much smaller ones, no bigger than a matchbox really. These had only a mini golf-type pencil and some scrolled-up paper to log in on. They were harder and more fun to find. All 12 of these geocache boxes were camouflaged to blend in with the woods. Packrat and Roy, my 2 best friends, both seasonal campers at the campground, and I had searched high and low for cool places to hide them, like hollow trees and dark holes between the rocks. People who wanted to hike the trail and look for the boxes could rent a handheld GPS from Mom in our campground office. The GPS can tell you exactly where you are on the planet. We had entered the latitude and longitude coordinates for all 12 boxes into the GPS device to get hikers within 25 feet of each one. From there, they had to use our written clues to find the actual box. Once they logged in, they closed up the box tight, and hid the container back in the exact same spot for the next geocacher. It was kind of like a high-tech hide-and-seek game. Just last week, I checked this box's hiding spot, and all the usual stuff had been in it. I'd thrown in a few campground postcards to add to the prizes and replaced the pencil that had gotten stubby. I didn't get it. Why had these goons chased me? I reached a shaky hand towards the large clip on the skinny side. "Where'd he go?" asked one of the goons, his voice above me. I froze. "Breathe slow," I told myself. "Don't move." "I don't know. I swear he was standing right here a minute ago." "Ha! Maybe we scared him to death and he jumped off the side." They walked back and forth along the edge above me, just like Packrat and I had done when we found the place and were looking for a way down. I slowly stood up as dirt, pine needles, and last fall's brown leaves fell in front of my face into the canyon. The goons stopped. Their shoe tips hung over the edge. I prayed they'd slip on moss and fall. I imagined the look on their faces as they passed by the ledge, seeing me safe and sound with the box. I'd smile, maybe wave. "You see him?" said a goon. "Nah, let's go follow the brook down. Get a look at the bottom of this thing." "Are you crazy? We almost broke our necks trying to cross it. Besides, he headed this way. I saw him." "You're just sore 'cause you got your new shoes wet." "Oh, shut up, you." Neither one said a word as they walked back and forth again, trying to find a way down. After a couple of minutes, I heard a frustrated groan right before a short log flew down over the edge. I watched it land on the water-soaked canyon floor with a splat. "We lost him, and I don't know about you, but there's no way I could pick him out of a lineup." "You idiot! It'll be us in the lineup if we don't find him, either of them." "Those kids took off so fast, Mikey. A blur of shirts is all I saw. One was red, no, wait, brownish, maybe maroon, and orange. Yeah, the other was definitely orange." I heard a sigh from Mikey, the one I now thought of as the smarter of the two. "And we're dead, you know," continued the dumb one. "When the boss finds out we let a couple of kids get those parts, we're dead." I picked up the box. "The parts?" Mikey spoke up. "Well, whose idea was it for us to stuff them in a box, hide it in the woods, and tell the buyer to make a switch with the cash, huh?" "You agreed to it. It was a great plan. The buyer wouldn't see us, and we wouldn't see him. How was I supposed to know there'd be another box out here and that the buyer would grab the wrong one?" It would have been a great plan if you'd remembered to put the tracking device on the box. Then we would have known exactly where to find those parts. By now, the buyer doesn't have the parts. We don't have the parts. Some bratty kids have the parts. The dumb one started whining again. Cement blocks are going to be tied to our feet when the box finds out. The dumb one started whining again. Cement blocks are going to be tied to our feet when the boss finds out. We'll be dropped in the lake. We're dead, Mikey. Dead as. Would you shut up about being dead? We'll just explain what happened. We'll tell the boss. Hey, what's that? More dirt rained down, and I backed up as far as I could until my back met the cool earth. The geocache box felt like a hot potato in my hands. Over there, by that big tree. The two sets of heavy footfalls became fainter as they walked away. I looked down at myself. By the tree? Did I drop something? My geocache GPS. No, it was still around my neck. Backup compass, utility knife, notebook, water bottle. It was all still here. What could they? Hey, it's a pen. Do you think it still writes? It's a nice one. I like fat pens, 'cause I have big hands, and gimme that. Hey, I found it. Finders, weepers, and all that stuff. Besides, it has a moose on it, see? And my nickname's Moose. No, 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 no. I checked my pocket. I groaned out loud and then slapped a hand over my mouth. My pen. My Wilder Family Campground pen. I think, said Mikey, and I swear I heard a smile in his voice. We're going camping. Thank you for listening. Before you read on, in Mystery of the Eagle's Nest, Cooper and Packrat's second adventure, I wanted to show you some pictures on my laptop. Remember how Cooper talked about the Box Canyon? It was inspired by a real place, and we found it when we were geocaching. It's called the jail. The coordinates my family and I were following took us right here to the edge. Actually, they wanted us to take a few more steps, but of course there was no way we were going to do that. That would have put us falling to our doom, right? So instead, we looked up and down the sides here. We still couldn't find the geocache, but my son did find this. A secret entrance. And of course, he climbed down inside. And that secret entrance took us to a spot where we could easily jump down into the floor of the Box Canyon. Once we were there, we didn't find the geocache, but I knew I'd found a really good setting for Chapter 1. The Box Canyon here at Grafton Notch State Park really only has 3 sides. And as you can see, my husband and I were able to get down there pretty easily. I wanted it to be a place where Cooper and Packrat could hide and no adults could get in. So I gave it 4 sides, and I made it so that only the kids could get through the hole, and that there was a tiny little entrance at the back that only they could get out of. This Box Canyon did have a stream, but it didn't have the waterfall, and it did have caves at the bottom. Just like the loons on our lake inspired Mystery on Pine Lake, a nesting pair of eagles also inspired Mystery of the Eagle's Nest. We had a pair that came back year after year after year to nest, and we had so much fun monitoring them. I knew right about when they would mate. I knew about the time that they would lay eggs, and then when the eggs would hatch. The campers and I would try to count how many there were. Some years, there was only 1. Most years, we had 2, but then came the year where we had eaglet triplets. Come to find out, eaglet triplets are very, very rare. I went on to do some more research and found out once in the state of Maine, we actually had quadruplets. It was those quadruplets that ended up in Mystery of the Eagle's Nest. I spent an awful lot of time taking pictures and monitoring all kinds of behavior, from their feeding patterns to their flying to having juveniles come back and try to take over the nest. a lot of the behaviors I saw ended up in eagles' nests. I hope you enjoy reading it, and as always, if you want to see more photos of the animals that inspired the book, just go to my website, tamrawhite.com.